Alright, what's up guys, it's KOSDFF here, and today we're going to be doing a story video. I've been reading your comments. I know a lot of you guys have been requesting that I bring this video style back to my channel, and it's been like a year since I made one of these things, so nope, today's the day. We're going to be telling you guys another piece of my origin story. And we're going to do it old school style too. We're going to do a gameplay commentary, and I would love to tell you that these gameplays are mine, but no, my dude Theory came up here and just beasted on these fools. If you guys want to go check him out, his link is in the video description below. You should definitely go follow him. We're about to head over to MLG Anaheim here in the next week to go compete. But nope, today I want to share with you guys another piece of kind of like my origin story. And like most people, a lot of us had to go through a lot of shit and had to know a bunch of crazy people, and a lot of us were really stupid and made a lot of dumb decisions. I am not exempt from this category. I definitely did a lot of that. And this is probably one of the crazier stories I'm probably ever going to tell you guys, as it's one of the crazier things that's ever really happened to me. But I do want to give you guys a couple disclaimers so that you can kind of understand where this story is coming from and how I found myself in this situation. Some things I think everyone needs to know before I tell the story. One, the people in this video were my high school friends from my hometown. As you guys know, I went to college and then law school, a span of 7 to 8 years, and then I moved back home, and that's where this story takes place. So the people that are in this story are people that I was friends with in high school, but really hadn't kept in very good touch with over that 8 years, besides a couple times that I visited home. So this is after the formation of TK. So right around that time when we started Team Kaliber, I had a very, very small YouTube channel. I uploaded videos, but it by no means was the main thing I did. Actually, right around that point in time, the main thing I was doing was working with my talent agency that I had created. And one of the things that I did at this talent agency is I would create these elaborate 3D intros. I know you guys have probably heard me mention that in other story videos. And that eventually is what SCUF Gaming initially was attracted to me for, was that kind of stuff and marketing and different things like that. Plus I had an education, so I was a good candidate for, to rise up through a company. And that is a common misconception. I feel like a lot of kids nowadays feel like if they go to school or law school or med school or get a master's degree or any of these things, they think they're going to graduate and go instantly into this amazing job. No, all those people, 100%, always go into a starting position in whatever field that degree's in. So no matter what, you always start off at the bottom. You always start off at a starting salary. It is true that the 5 or 10% at the top get some really nice starting salaries, but nonetheless, they are still starting salaries amongst their peers at whatever company, firm, doctor's office, hospital, any job that you go get. That's the truth. And the only reason why I say that is, a lot of people are like, well, you went to law school, why were you going there to work in marketing? Well, everyone's got to start somewhere, and you should never let that deter you from trying to go somewhere and go work in an industry that you want to. But I digress. Right around that time was when I was moving from one friend's house to another. I was living with one of my friends from high school, whose mother had basically moved out of their townhome and was renting back to her son and myself. A really good guy, really educated guy, like a lot of the people in this story and myself. Made a lot of mistakes as a young guy and spent a lot of their early years paying for it. Nonetheless, it was a good guy, but in the end, we didn't end up getting along. Both of us were pretty strapped for money. I'd like to say this entire situation with me and him was all about money, because I was doing all these random jobs online, making 3D stuff. I was doing my talent agency, which was bringing in a little bit of money. I was also managing TK, and I was also uploading to my channel, so I was extremely busy, but it didn't exactly add up to a whole lot of cash. And he was in a very similar situation where he was trying to finish up school. He was working part-time, and the disagreement that eventually led to me moving out was actually over furniture. I had a whole bunch of my college furniture that I had brought home with me that had put it in that house, and then he decided he wanted to get some furniture that his grandparents were giving him, and then they were going to take all my furniture, and I had to go put it somewhere in a storage unit that I couldn't afford, which I thought was kind of a dick move, and randomly make me have to incur another $500 a month just to go store all the stuff. And this led to me moving in with another friend of mine that was from an extremely rich family. I mean, this guy was driving a Navigator on 26s with 415s in the back when he was 16 years old. He had a decent work ethic, I want to say, as I'll explain here in a little bit. It was totally misguided. But nonetheless, he had his own house. Basically, his extremely rich parents had bought him a house, and I believe he was renting it from them or making the mortgage payments back to them or something like that. But nonetheless, to say, he had his own house, and this guy was a working individual. He never went to college, so he had money, and I thought it would be a better idea to go move in with him for just a few months before I had to go move to Atlanta, which still at this point in time was kind of a question mark. It was a job out there that I was pretty sure I was going to get, but had no idea about the time frame. This was actually probably one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my entire life. Now, you guys have seen a lot of these story videos. A lot of them are from when I was 14, 15, and 16, and I made a lot of dumb decisions then. No, I don't have an excuse for this one. I was 26, and it was the dumbest decision I have ever made, was to move in with this friend of mine. And the reason why was because of what he did for a living and who he was as a person. Someone that I would regard nowadays as a really nice guy. Believe it or not, out of everything I'm about to say, this person does genuinely have a good heart, but I believe has a slight, like, bipolar disorder and totally misguided sense of principles. And through his upbringing, I feel like he felt really alone in the world and therefore was always really defensive. But this person that I'm about to tell you guys about was actually a drug dealer. He sold pot and pills to the town and had been doing so since he was like 15. Very long documented criminal history, not only with the local police but the DEA as well. This person also sold used cars on Craigslist by, like buying shitty cars, getting a couple things fixed by his buddies that were mechanics, and juking the numbers a little bit and then selling them on Craigslist, because I think in North Carolina it's an as-is state, so you can sell someone a car as is, and if there's any latent defects, meaning things that were kind of like hidden and they didn't know about them at the point of sale, well then it's kind of the person that was buying its fault for not checking all of that. That's kind of like the law in North Carolina. It's kind of fucked up. Therefore, if you're gonna buy a used car, I suggest you not do it there, or if you do it from a place that has like certified refurbished car, or will have a really great warranty on it just in case something breaks. Don't just buy it off someone on Craigslist. But nonetheless, the reason why I'm telling you all this stuff about this guy is not to harp on him for being making some really terrible choices, but more so to just kind of explain the reason why I moved in there. And it was because he had a decent amount of money and was a working individual, and I could depend on him to have his share of the rent and pitch in and have enough money where I wasn't living basically in a house where we were squatting in. And this was a dumb decision because, one, I knew everything I just told you. I was very well aware of all of it. This was someone that I had known since high school, and he had been doing it since then, so it was just a really stupid idea to move in with someone like that. But two, I also knew his temperament. This person was the same exact person I knew from high school, so although I say that there was 8 years in between me knowing this guy, he was the exact same guy. I moved back to that town after law school to study for the bar, and to figure out what I wanted to do, to enter into the working world, and he was the exact same. And basically what I'm trying to explain is this guy would out of nowhere kind of freak out about little things that don't really matter, and they would just be like the end of the world if they didn't go his way. But that was all backstory, believe it or not. This is all leading towards me telling you a story about one day, one of the most crazy, ridiculous, frightening, scary, fucking dumbass days of my entire life. And just to give you a little bit more context, this is exactly like 5 days before I moved to Atlanta to join SCUF Gaming and move down to their offices. On this day, I didn't actually know that. I just knew that I was moving down there in the next like couple weeks. I had gotten the job. I had already gone down to Atlanta to meet up with everybody and see the office. We had already talked about what I was doing. I already had projects that I was working on. The only thing that was left up in the air at this point was when exactly I was going to move, but it was going to be within the next 2 weeks, or by the end of the month. All right, so finally I'm going to talk about that day. So that day, something very strange happened in North Carolina. It's something that doesn't happen very often, and that is that it snowed. And it snowed enough where it basically blanketed the entire area. So like all the roads, parking lots, and everything were covered, which is very rare for North Carolina. Most of the time, the snow falls and melts overnight, and then it freezes into ice or it just goes away. It never actually sticks. No, for the first time in like forever, snow had stuck. So I wanted you guys to know that, so you guys know that the infinitely stupid decisions that are about to take place after this were because it was goddamn snowing out, and there was snow out there, and that doesn't happen very often. You get to go act like kids and build snowmen and throw snowballs, even no matter how old you are. You just go to, you get to go play in the fucking snow. It's fun. But as I alluded to earlier, this roommate of mine also sold used cars, so he had a whole bunch of cars at his house. All the time, this guy had about 5 or 6 cars, basically his inventory that he was moving on Craigslist, parked there. And he had just gotten a car that was kind of like light, and it was like a 2-door and had a decent engine in it. And we thought it would be a fucking amazing idea to go out to a parking lot and just go do donuts. Well, actually, he thought that would be a really cool idea, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'll go along for the ride. We went down to, I think, the local CVS, and we did a whole bunch of donuts in the parking lot. It was mad fun. This guy was actually pretty good at it. We were hitting some pretty good drifts for the most part. It was a lot of fun. But one problem when, it snows everywhere in a parking lot is it also covers the concrete barriers that are like separating the parking spots and things like that. And you can't see them at all. And well, my friend eventually ran into one, totally caving in his back left tire. This thing was at like a 90-degree angle with the frame of the car. After he hit the little concrete thing, we tried to pull out and we made it like maybe, I don't know, 200 yards to the gas station where he just pulled over. And this was a very quiet, like 100 to 200 yard trip. If you guys, I'm sure everyone has that friend that, you know, is a good guy, but he just gets triggered and gets really angry and just goes off and explodes. Everybody knows that guy. This was this guy. So, you know, even me, I'm sitting there just not saying shit. Like, I know this guy is probably pissed. So we get to the gas station, we both get out of his car, we go walk around, we see the damage. Of course, I snap a picture and I put it on Twitter and captioned it, "Mistakes were made." Now, my friend, you know, he didn't have a Twitter or a YouTube or didn't play video games, didn't have any social media accounts, hardly had used his Facebook for anything besides to talk to his mother. And I put it on Twitter, which no one from our hometown follows. It's just the people that were fans of my Minecraft videos, all 5,000 of them on Twitter at this point in time. Sorry, yeah, but I tweeted that picture and I thought it was funny, so I showed it to him. He didn't think it was that funny at all. Actually, he was downright fucking pissed. He thought I was making fun of him to all these people on the internet and kind of capitalizing on the fact that he just made a very large mistake that's gonna cost him a lot, because now he has to go fix this. This car was a piece of his inventory. I don't think it had like insurance or anything on it. And well, he had just crashed his car too, so he was absolutely fucking livid. Told me to get the fuck away from him. He got in a taxi and drove away and just kind of left me there at the gas station. And over the next 20 minutes while I'm waiting for my taxi, they didn't have Ubers and stuff like that back then, and we were a decent, like probably 10 miles away from his house. This whole 20 minutes he's telling me that to get the fuck out of his house, that I have to move out, that I'm an asshole, that he hates living with me and I've got to get out of there. And I'm telling him like, yo, I'm gonna be out like in the next week, and you know I'm moving to Atlanta. Like, this is gonna be over really soon. We're not gonna have to be roommates anymore. I'm moving, like you'll never have to see me again and all this other stuff. But nope, he didn't care that it was the middle of the month and I'd already paid him rent, or the fact that I was moving in just like a week or something like that and only had to stay there just a little bit longer. Nope, he wanted me out that motherfucking day. Now, on the taxi ride back to the house, I thought he was just, you know, crazy angry, maybe blowing off some steam, that no one's that ridiculous. But I was about to find out that the complete opposite was true, actually. The moment I got home, I went right up to my room, closed the door, and started packing. So at this point, I'm frantically packing up my room. I've got my roommate, like, literally pacing outside of my door, slamming on it, cocking his gun, telling me that he's got his gun, he's gonna shoot me if I don't get the fuck out, saying all types of extremely stupid shit coming from him, because he was just saying like a bunch of rap music video shit, like, "I'm gonna fucking kill you, bitch, you don't fucking understand, you don't know whose world you're in, bitch, I'm gonna end you," all this kind of fucking shit. And I'm just sitting there, you know, packing up my command center and stuff. Like, I'm a gamer, I've got a lot of electronics, you know, I gotta pack this shit. But during this time, I also managed to call my mom, my sister, and my dad, and my brother, and because they're my damn family, they all packed up into their cars and came to the house to help me move. And as soon as they all got there, of course, my crazy roommate went and hid in his room and closed his door while we moved out all my shit, because I had a decent amount of stuff in that room. And we did this in the middle of the night, because by this time it was like 9 or 10 o'clock. We had to pack up all the stuff and then drive like an hour to my brother's house so I could go stay there for what ended up being like 4 days before I ended up packing up all my stuff again into a U-Haul and then driving to Atlanta. And the last time I saw this guy until this day was when I was pulling away from the house. He actually noticed that I had left a couple pairs of shoes next to the front door, opened the front door, and proceeded to throw the shoes at our cars. As we were driving away. He actually only managed to hit my car, and I actually slammed on my brakes and was gonna get out, but my dad was behind me and was blaring on the horn. He says, "Justin, just go, he's not worth it, he's not worth it." Because at this point, I wanted to go beat his ass. I mean, he was being extremely disrespectful to my family at this point, not just me. But my dad is like 6'5" and could kick my ass worse than I could kick this guy's ass, so I just went ahead and got back in the car and drove away. But no, I ended up only spending like 4 days at my brother's house, who actually had really good internet. I made a couple videos there too, if you kind of want to know the time frame. I think I made my Only Use Me Kicks Titanfall trolling video at his house. But the story does have a happy ending. The very next day, I got a call from Duncan, the CEO of SCUF Gaming, saying that, "Yep, we're gonna go ahead and move forward with everything. We've got all your paperwork here. We got your employment contract ready to go. How do you feel about starting next Monday?" And to me, this was the best news in the whole entire world. I can't even explain to you guys the relief of that phone call, given everything that was happening around me. But yep, the next day I went to get a U-Haul. I packed up all my stuff that my parents had kind of moved into my brother's house from all their cars into the U-Haul. I moved down there and got an apartment the very next day and started to work at SCUF Gaming. And then right around then is when my YouTube channel blew up. That's right, when TK was finishing second and third, and like everything, pretty much everything that led to my life as it is now, all happened right after that. So trust me when I say that everyone, when they're trying to find themselves, when they're, you know, figuring out what they're gonna do with their lives, when they're entering the working world, whether it's when you're 18 or when you're 26, yes, I spent a ridiculous amount of time time in school before I actually got to go be like a working person, an adult, a real human being. You know, everyone goes through a whole lot of shit. You don't know everyone's story. You know, a lot of people will go through some crazy stuff because they made some kind of bad decisions that put them in the wrong place at the wrong time, or they can be like me who makes some really dumb decisions and got pretty much everything they deserved because they should have known better. If I had to tell you there was a moral of the story for me personally, it was one to learn to listen to my gut, to, you know, just believe in your own feeling about if something seems like a stupid idea, that maybe you just shouldn't do it, or, you know, maybe go choose the hard route or something like that. And two, it taught me you are who you hang with, you know, who you choose to spend your time with, who you choose to bring into your life, who you interact with, relate to, and bring into your world is 100% up to you. And if you know they're crazy and you bring them in anyways, well, you're just an inviting shit. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please leave a like if you guys did. Please leave a like if you want to see more story videos. I actually have a whole lot of stuff that I could tell you guys about Team Kaliber. I don't think I've ever told you a story that takes place after the story that I just told you. Also, once again, sorry, I'm so sick. I know my voice sounded terrible, and it was actually kind of hard for me to make this video. A couple times my throat just fucking gave out and my voice kind of went away. And one last thing, we're doing the tKAllDay code battle right now. If you guys want to go get 30% off GFuel, use code KOSDFF for Marble. Please help us retain our belt. Fucking sharpen the rest of these bastards are coming after my title. Go get you some cheap GFuel and then, you know, help me, you know, keep my ego in place. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. See you guys tomorrow.